Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of the It Came from the Workbench series. This is the 47th volume, the third episode of the 47th volume. Bluebird kind of named himself the Zoku Pro, the Z Pro, all of the parts left over from when we built the Rainbird, when we went down a long, winding, and insane trail of chasing lightweight, which is something we kind of tried to avoid around here. So with 47, with this gentleman, what we are not doing is trying to chase that lightweight. I said I would be happy 5.5 to 6 pounds. Last I checked, last time he rolled across a scale, he has not been weighted yet because in the intervening period between installment 2 and this installment 3, we have committed a singular change to Bluebird. That singular change being a canyon change. We changed just one thing because we changed it effectively all at once. So, we painted the body. It was a great cliffhanger. I was going to go just all over metallic blue. Then I had painted the whole thing silver. And there were moments where I thought about just leaving it silver. And then I was like, no, we're going to do the fade. You can see the texturing there. One of the paints set up very kind of pebbly, but there is a lot of metal flake in there. And by the way, this is one of the many cans of flat clear coat that I have. And I used it specifically because for this guy, I wasn't like, oh, we don't need super matte. So it's just dark metallic blue. I want to say, to me, a PS59. And then the PS56? 63. PS63 gunmetal, light gunmetal. I'll put them in the description. So paint it, back it with black on the inside, little tape reinforcements, because the tough color is the ultra lightweight one. So even after caking it down with paint, it's like 110 grams. So it's still one of the lightest bodies out there. So we committed a canyon change between then and now. We made a singular change. Let's see if moving from front to back, moving from right to left, can I remember what hath we wrought? We had to change the servo horn because now the colors didn't match. It was gunmetal, and underneath everything is silver. Does a part of me want to change everything to gunmetal? No, we've committed to silver. Belt drive, because if something has become clear to me, it's that there's a reason the 10 Pro did not originally come equipped with factory portals, because it's incredibly slow, and I love that. We have a mountain of mechanical advantage, and I think that's why I like the handling and the performance of this so much more than a regular 10 Pro. I like the 45, what do they call them, Pro 45s. I like the 45 straight axle. I like the 45 portals even more. Before we get to the shocks, we get to the trials, multi-spokes. I saw them and I was like, that's the wheel. That's the wheel. In that very root beery bronze, I would potentially, unpopular opinion, and I don't care, I would say that the quality of machining and fitment on a set of trial wheels is every bit as good as the machining and fitment on a set of Vanquish wheels, only they cost a quarter as much. And these are, well, they come with hubs, for one thing. The only part I didn't use on the trail wheels is I put scale, 2.5 millimeter scale hardware in there, because I have drawers of it. We don't have a lot of use for 2.5 millimeter scale hardware, so they're perfect. These are the hunks that have been in a couple of the tire testables, fitted with YZZR inserts. I have a tree root right outside from a massive silk floss tree, and the tree root is that high and exposed, has a big root that grows across the top of the ground. We do this thing where we drive over that root. It's kind of the informal test that happens because it's 6 feet outside the front door of the building. So that's the test before we go to any rocks. Slapped these tires on and was like, you know what? That's pretty good. That's pretty good on that tree route, because there's a real dead pull section where it's just perfectly vertical, and then there's a little section that's a little more ramped down. We do the ramp part, and then we come back down the vertical section, and that's the quick U-turn test to see if we haven't made any massive errors in the setup, or if something's not lined up, something's not attached. And the hunks looked pretty okay. So that's what we're going with for today on the first painted voyage. Remember, flat. That's flat paint on top of that. We get back to Chavtex, blue Chavtex, which are, so far as I can ascertain, the exact same color as the little fancy, the dress-up washers. They look exactly the same. They are also, it is hit and miss with these, as always. They have been rebuilt with Traxxas seals, and these are fitted with the circlips. So you use your Genelloc 926s. It's not the little, where's my sharpened piece of wood? I have a sharpened, this is what I use for the new ones with the screw in. Somebody said use a bamboo skewer, like for making a kebab. I didn't have one of those. I feed this dowel into a pencil sharpener, and that's where I stick it into the little threaded ones, and it works great. It works absolutely perfectly. I don't have to drill them out. I don't have to machine them anymore. It was refreshing to be able to work on these with snap rings. Definitely goes a lot faster than my little wooden tension tool over there. So the shocks are on here with, I want to say, yes, blues, Dravtech 40 millimeters, 10 by 40 softs, 0.8 pound, and then they are running the 1.2 pound longer that come on the shock. These are 105s, and I wanted something a little bit shorter, and that's the beauty of the Chavtech. So for the bottom, can we see them? For the bottom of the shock, we took the short rod ends that come with Vanquish, and I should have grabbed one of those. We get our shock parts box. So Vanquish has the little locking rod ends like this that lock into the spring cup. Now you take some snippers and you snip that part off. And then you've made a very short, like even shorter than an element end. You make a shorter end. And not only that, they are slightly offset. So where does it show the best? Where does it show the best? You know where it shows the best? It shows the best right here. So we've got that little bootleg end, well, kicks it over. So it's a tiny little baby offset cap. So that'll drop the shock down a little bit more. And then using this short end, which as you see barely comes out in that end there, they're like 95s, which is not 96s. I think they were 96s. The rear end is one of those things where I don't know how much the bench is telling us. They feel soft, but not too soft. Like the rear end doesn't sink all the way down. I don't know. There could be some binding. There could be some stuff here and there. Behind the wheels, we changed to a wider hex because we had about 5 millimeters of stub axle coming out on all the way around. So we just widened them out a little. And I think that was going to a different wheel with a different hub. The trails were sitting in even farther. And I was pretty happy with the width we had before. Changing hexes to maintain a width is not a problem. We do it all the time. A mod I don't recommend to anyone unless you're actively building your 10 Pro at the time. You will notice there is a silver theme here. I replaced these, which are like the hard anno color, gunmetal anno. We didn't have that color anywhere else on the vehicle. So it was definitely under $10. I want to say there was $7.99 to get these in silver. Yeah, you got to take most of the vehicle apart to get to those. Not recommended unless you're building your 10 Pro at the time and have determined that you want to go with some sort of a color theme which makes no sense because Where'd your color theme go? It's hiding under here. I do recommend the alloy servo bracket for the Dig Servo, which you'll notice is fitted with it is. Goop RC or Go Up RC, which is perhaps potentially another option for us. This is the sort of informal, impromptu electric Kool-Aid acid test for it. You'll notice that the servo saver with the standard Futaba spline is still in place because we have a new option on the board for micro with standard size spline. This one is HV. It can handle 8.4 volts. Because what I did to the poor servo in here before, which I don't believe I mentioned, I believe I did it in the intervening period. I was in the programmer in the Bluetooth for this, and I was like, it does 8.4 volts. Turned it to 8.4 volts to make this guy do this, and cooked the poor little Injora 2065. It didn't like 8.4. They can handle 7.4 just fine. Did not like 8.4. This guy doesn't have a problem with 8.4. Can't even see him moving up there. Oh, yes, we went out of order. There is indeed something up here that is the change. Perhaps the canyoniest of changes, which is a Mias 824, 20% overdrive in the front. So now, when this thing on the radio says minus 34, that is now 20% front overdrive. And when it says plus 34, it is now 60% front overdrive. There's a little bit of a differential there. Is that still in? Yep. Because this is something I wanted to try, and it cost $15 to try it. I don't think 0 is enough. When is 0 ever enough? Unless it's wolves that are attacking you, then 0 is the correct number. The 40, once we got into this configuration with the portals and the Zoku Pro, the Bluebird format, the 0 felt like it needed more, and honestly, the 40 felt like it wasn't doing enough. I have a really strange, ever-evolving relationship with overdrive and underdrive numbers. I'm most comfortable generally in this around 20% range, but if you're going to have a wild mode, let's go wild mode, right? A Phoenix is 6% stock, and the big overdrive is 46%. There's that 40% split. This vehicle also has a 40% split, but it starts at 20 and it goes to 60. 60% overdrive, I don't think, standing here over the bench, having not really driven this thing in a performative capacity, I don't think 60% overdrive is going to be particularly useful as overdrive for like pulling over lips and stuff. What it is, though, is 60% dig. So there's a part of me that wants to go into the programming and change this from lock. See how it's lit up? That's it. Okay. Change it from that to a momentary, because 60% is 6/10 dig. So it's just going to make this thing turn that much tighter. And this thing already turns pretty tight. 2000 kV on 3S through, and lastly, we close it out with a matching metal drive shaft for the rear, which was $11.99. We don't have the, and yes, missed. Very shiny bit. Yep. Still, it's literally, can you even see the glint of silver? Can you see it? There's like 1.5 millimeters of travel that we're missing because that upper link is hitting the motor mount. Because I am unwilling to change the links because the geometry has been working out for us. But because we're running a tiny little 380 motor, we can carve, I'm not even near the motor. We can carve a bunch out of that motor plate. But to carve, I did it. I carved on that motor plate with the motor installed. Not recommended. If I were to remove the motor plate, I grabbed 3. If we were to remove the motor plate, we could easily take more material off that and not have, or change that rod end, because it's the TRX4 style with the little hex. That's why it hits. It then would not hit. But what we got to do is, like, when I press down on this, I'm like, is that rear too squishy? Are we undersprung back there? These are really laying down back there. And there's really, and it almost looks like it's sitting, we got that squat, almost looks like it has a squat to it. We're going to find out. Spring position, shock position, well, spring choice and shock position are one of the most easily changed settings on a vehicle, period. So, you know what I'm going to do? I might just hedge my bets. And the easiest way to do it is to grab this one. And then we'll get the 2mm, because then I can put those in my pocket. It's, you know, if there's a testimonial for this, which would you rather put in your pocket? I would rather put this in my pocket. And then we have to have his accompaniment, which is our good buddy the Stahlwheel, so that we can, because I'm a little concerned about that rear shock position. The front is got that physical mechanical limitation. I don't know, maybe it'll be fine. If these don't have to come out of my pocket, I will consider that a victory on the day. We have definitely talked long enough. We need to go out to where the rocks are and find out if the single change that we made, other than paint doesn't count as part of the change. Let's find out if that single change made it, well, let's be honest, better or worse. I find that I really miss belt drives sometimes. They can be finicky and persnickety to set up, but when they're set up, man, it's so smooth. And okay, tires don't work unless they're black. There's a fun fact for you for the day. They learned this. If they make tires out of any color, they just grip way less. It's that carbon black. It's the black stuff in rubber that makes a tire work. Lexan apparently needs to be clear. Polycarbonate functions in clear. Whatever this is, and it behaves like polycarbonate, and it takes paint like polycarbonate, it doesn't have the same, like, resonance. This body acts more like an amp than any other body. I don't know why. It's gray. It makes the rig sound a lot louder than it actually is. The thing is really quiet. Oh my. Okay, that's 20%. Let me check. Yes, that is 20%. Oh boy, we're turning now. Okay, did anybody see a tire lift at any point? I gotta say, dark metallic blue and the gunmetal is real. Wow, is real nice. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I wanted to come across there. I want to see how tight I can come across here. Okay, not a problem there, all right. Now we're gonna go around to the far end. We're gonna do all of this, and then I'm gonna try the same stuff on 60%, which is an utterly ridiculous amount of overdrive. Yeah, get there. Ooh. Little mechanical bind there, pulled it through. We have to do, we got to do a cruise climb here. We have not lost any of that stability, and the 20%, let's try. Okay, that's 30% on the cruise control. All right, there's an entry. Just letting it go. Free rolling. Little FOC action there. Oh, we got to give him a little help. I'll say this. I understand that there's definitely a range of feeling about the Python X dynamic combo. Yeah, it's basically the same price as a Fusion Pro, and I think that's probably okay, because we're not going to use it under the same applications that we would be using a Fusion Pro. This is a fitment type operation. It's also significantly lighter. There are definitely pluses and minuses for both. I don't know if this is a plus or a minus to you. It is I imagine it can certainly be a negative to some, but I consider it a positive. Did you see the little hesitations? We have FOC that'll pull us through, but it acts a little bit more brushed because we're definitely small blocking it with this. That 380 size motor is just not producing the same amount of torque. This is 60%. All right. Ordinarily, I would already not like 60%. It feels like it's staying flatter. Oh no, not the marker. Oh, not the marker. Oh, it's a sad day, everybody. Marker only lasted a couple weeks. No way. Okay. There are situations where, like, I have a small amount of experience with what I would call enormous underdrive overdrive splits. Converting Zoidberg over to his current gearbox. Now watch this turn circle. Converting Zoidberg over to his current configuration. We put a 2-low in, 30% underdrive to the rear. Not remembering that his front capper axle was fitted with the wild overdrive gears, 36%. So he came out on the rocks on 66%. This guy's at 60. 66%. It looked like something was really broken. I mean, that's 6/10. That's 60. That's 2/3 dig. So I can come across like this, initiate my turn, and turn in so sharp. The fact that this thing can climb at all on 60%. Because usually you feel like you're really dragging ass. And it kind of doesn't. Bluebird is his name, but he's a unicorn. Because 60% overdrive is not like a thing that works. We're doing the same sort of protocol hits. Look at that turn. It's like you're coming in at a dig turn. Now we're going to be faster because we have more. Got to come in a little that way. Come on, little 380. Huh. I mean, I should have turned the percentage down because of the more split to the front. Yeah, right there. There was that little... Okay, Okay, there we go. I needed it to settle so that I could tell myself, stop trying to self-right the freshly painted body. I'd almost forgotten. Instead of just the rock crushing plant, today we also have what you get when you combine a jackhammer and an excavator. We'll see if the microphone is good enough to keep it out of our ears. We're still at 60%. So let's just let's hit this on 60. See if we're dragging. I mean, it's kind of, it was struggling for a moment to get the rear end to pull over. But not like you would think. Like, we had some hesitations there. That is a moment where I feel like the 20% is gonna be an improvement. All right. Well, there's a definite difference in tone as well. Here's the 20. Ooh, went in a little spicy. Oh yeah. Oh. Okay. I mean, but you get to, okay, here, hold on. We get right up by the sign again. Okay, there we are. 20%. Come across. We want to swing in right here. Get that little bit of push. Little high. What? What? I didn't even have time to think to put any power to it. Okay. It's like we're startlingly nimble here. 60%. Initiate the turn. See if it... And there's that pull. There's that pull across. Yeah. That little bit of hesitation, I'm loving that little bit of hesitation. Because it gives you this warning. It's like, this is not the way. And you stop and look at it. I fall into patterns. When I'm driving, I'm not looking at the wheels of the vehicle very much. I'm looking ahead. Because I'm just anticipating that the rig is going to make it. Like right there. Absolutely stuffed in. And yeah, there is an unnatural amount of functional stability. That is pulling. I'm sorry, bud. It's tumbledore for you. We gotta go up the top. This is easy stuff for you, dude. You like, again, this is as much a 10 Pro as it isn't. It's portaled for one thing. The Zoku chassis is doing things. It's doing things. This, I couldn't tell you what gearbox is in it if I didn't know. I don't feel any of those limitations crushed down upon us by the big chunk of overcomplicated gearbox that resides in the heart of a 10 Pro. It just feels great in this. And the sun's not even up all the way yet, so we don't have to worry about staring directly into the eye of the sun. First ascent, 20%. We'll bind them through. Okay, 20% here. I think the 60 would hold the front end down a little bit better. Or not. Or not. Oh! Eee! Oh! So abrupt. So right down on the top of his head. Yeah, the throttle feels. Some about the belt drive, something about this motor. Trying to find the spot. Okay, let's go to the 60. Okay, yeah, it feels a little over collapsy. Buddy, your body's gonna get beat up. That's what tumbledore do. Okay. See, as I said, I'm figuring out that line a little bit better. I want this tight left-hander right here. Yeah, front end stays down a lot better on the 60. Just can't quite get up that side. This early in the tuning phase, it's really not surprising that I can't get up that tighter side. I don't know 100% what we're working with yet. I am addicted to the turning circle of 60% overdrive. You got to get to the top so you can descend, guy. So we'll go easier side right here. There are some moments where that little 2380 binds up a little bit. Okay, now definitely descending on 20. Okay, we want to maintain throttle input so we don't swap ends. Actually, I guess it wasn't that necessary. It was really keeping the rear end down. It's that worst kind of tuning is how it feels for me. We're gonna need these very small. Okay, we're at 20. We're at 20 and we're struggling. Okay. So right there. Now it feels like the rear end is dragging on us. Look how blue the rear end looks. That's gray. Very blue. We'll go 60. which is counter to what I would think to do, and the 60 pulls it through. The Z Pro loves huge overdrive. Look at that go! Back to 20. I genuinely don't think that brake over good, coming down here, everybody loses it, does not. Descending stability is really good. The turning circle on 60%, man, that's, oh, I love a turning circle. So we're just gonna stay 60 for this ascent up here. I think it'll help keep the front end down, and it does. I'm gonna come across here at 60. Here's what's crazy. Here's how you know that it's not all the same flavor. We're not just variations on a theme. I like the VRD Carbon on 20 some odd percent, the 21.5%, 22%, significantly more than I like it on the 38 that it comes with stock. This thing's pretty good on 60. 60 doesn't work all the time. There's definitely moments where the 20 pulls it through better, but surprise of surprises, there are moments where the 60 is pretty good. The condition of his roof is a reminder of why I always take the thumbnail picture first. Still in 60, but I moved so that I can see what I'm doing. Now right here, I think 60 isn't explicitly helping. Because it's that driver rear where we need to reposition more towards the fence side. Not that much. That's a little bit too much. Kind of falls back into this same spot. Maybe it wasn't too much. Okay, hook it. We are on 60% right now, back to 20. Just can't. Oh, that, like, there's definitely more of a cracking noise from the gray polycarbonate. And we ripped at least one sticker on that fall. Yeah, I don't know. Did the ascent feel better on the 20? I think that initial entry might have felt better on the 20. I think it might have lined us up a little better. We've got to get don't fall into it. No, we're back in the exact same spot. We're back in the exact same spot. Would we love it if the tuning was just miraculously complete on the first try? Sure. But it gives us something to chase. Breakover should be outstanding, 20%. And there's that thing, yeah, there's a lockout. You can put a lockout on the gearbox and just lock it into, I think, 0. I think you can lock it into both. I think it's like a little W-shaped piece to where you can lock it into one overdrive or the other. Underdrive or the other. Overdrive or the other. You can lock it into 0 or you can lock it into 40. I don't see the point in that. Like, we're putting up with that overcomplicated gearbox because it's switchable. Right there. Right there. Little bind, little steering adjustment, and through. There's some oddity there because it feels like we're getting bound mechanically, but that was a 60% descent. I can't see where the bind is happening sometimes. Okay, same approach, 60%. Yeah, right there. I don't think that we can get that. We can't get enough rear wheel speed to get through there on 60. The entry, no. The entry on 60 is easier. So from down here, The initial breakover to come up here, wrap, 60. Then go to 20. We need to be a little bit more this side, right there. Then back to 60 to execute the tight turn. Like it bounces and just like lands. Okay, so now we're still 60. So we'll try the gut shot straight on the 60. Because we don't get, we get some real shuttle right there. Look at that rear rise in reverse on 60%. Okay, yeah, all right. Felt pretty much like he was doing his own thing though. Back to 20. Watch that rear end squat down. Yeah. It's definitely reworked into 2 more usable tools. I like 20%. I like the way this thing feels and moves on 20. But we'll do the rear rise. Rear just climb under that 60%. So 20% for the straight climb. Just driving so hard. Also, Flex Friday, bros. That's a lot. Is it too much? I don't know. Maybe, possibly. But with this amount of, no, okay. I am not the determiner of possibility. The determiner of possibility is right here around the corner. Because if everything feels like it's going too well, side hill it. We are, of course, at 20. I don't see excessive roll. I don't even think it's a spring rate issue. I think it might just be a shock hole placement issue. Because we're getting, the rear end's moving around a little, upper rate? Maybe. That'd be fine. Low rates are what I run out of on shocks. Heavy rates I've got. Ooh, came in way too spicy on that. No, I mean, it's got a lot of travel and I kind of like it. We don't want everybody to be the same. We want everybody to perform well, but there are definitely sacrifices for Vandy being made all the time. Okay, 60% already. 60% entering the side hill feels weird. Feels really weird. Look at the body jacked over. Settle. I talk about grip and slip for the entry into yellows. Yeah. Once you get through that middle point, the 60% is way easier because this transition right here, the problem that we run into is overloading that driver rear and too much torque is in there and then you pivot around that axle. Well, there's 60% of the torque is going to the front. So he's like the master of self-righting. So you have to force it to try to flip it over. I don't know. Is it wheel time? Is it more of a wheel time thing? Am I thinking about messing with something that maybe don't use 20-ish minutes of wheeling? I will admit, potential confession, I think sometimes we don't put quite enough wheel time in before we start hacking on it. Before we just start pulling parts off. I want to hit that transition at 20% again. Okay, so we get right here. That's a low entry. No, that was solid. That was really good. So we've got there's a little bit of weakness in the overall performance right at those real extremes. Like Tumbledore was showing out that like something isn't quite there. We're not 100 yet. But in terms of overall performance, forward drive versus side hill, stability, maneuverability is ridiculous. Again, looking quite good. So the Bluebird and I would like to thank you for joining us out here. We're going to have a Bluebird Rainbird 1v1 on here because they are both they're both half 10 Pro and not half 10 Pro. It'll be interesting to see two extremely different approaches to 10 Pro, which is how we do things around here. I mean, I'm looking at it and I don't think it's possible to break over this. And then Bluebird is like, well, I don't care about what you think. That was a pretty good breakover, yeah. That was a reasonably good breakover. We had a reasonably good morning. Thank you so much for joining me here on the morning. Questions, comments, concerns, you know where to put them. Or check out the Discord if you're feeling spicy for more rapid interactions. I do read all the comments. I make an effort to respond to all the comments that I feel I need to respond to, but I keep getting comments from people that say, "Oh, you never respond to my comments." Maybe YouTube's deleting them. I don't delete comments, so if I don't see them, it's because they weren't there to see. I hope to see you in the next one. I hope between now and then you one and all do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. The timer here is expiring. We're running out of time on this episode. Thank you so much once again. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Be good. Use soap. I'll see you next time.